Good Wednesday morning. So excited to just share some quick tips with you guys today. The last couple of weeks have been a whirlwind, lots of growth, um, just a lot happening spiritually, physically, financially. So this past week, my husband cold turkey quit his six figure job in healthcare. It's a huge life change for us, but I'm super proud of him. And so there has just been a crazy amount going on. And I think about the podcast name Keri On and all of the good nuggets that we get to share on the show. And so often they're from raw, probably always from raw, authentic testimony, which I'm going to share today. So I am a coach for USATF, USA Track and Field. That was an assignment that God called me to. It's been tons of fun. I have 15 athletes right now, probably going to hit 2025 once school is out, if not more. And we were just approved for the very first sanctioned event in Oconee County. And it is a county-wide team, which is really exciting because we know that there's a huge rivalry where we are. For those of you that are not local, don't worry about it. But we all have those rivalries. So yesterday, I had one of my athletes at the end of practice. We have them from kindergarten all the way up through high school. So, real diverse age group, diverse group of athletes. And I have several parents that have multiple children, and so which is awesome because it makes our team bigger. But yesterday, after we were wrapping up practice, one of the individuals had taken their child to the park. And three of the older kids, I don't want to call them kids, but older athletes, um, and the youngest being about probably 6 or 7 years old, maybe eight. And they weren't sure where their father was. And instantly, when he looked around and he couldn't find his dad, he just got super emotional and I said, "It's okay. I'll walk you over to the park. I think they're just right across the street. No problem." And he just starts sobbing and he's like, "I miss my dad." And I was really pondering on that this morning. It just really impacted my heart. And I thought about what that's probably how God feels about us. Like, I miss my children. And isn't that the delight of worship that we should have in Him and that diligence to just be at His feet, develop a strong appetite for the gospel, and just think, I miss my dad, I miss my father. And it just really sunk down deep in my spirit. And so this morning, I just started lifting that up in prayer. And one of the things, there's so much like intertwined because I've never separated the gospel and ministry from what I do career wise. I know that my assignment is to impact the lives of many, and that is through the gospel and through business and all of that at the same time. And so, one of the things that God has been teaching me in relationship to being hungry and developing an appetite and worshiping out of delight comes from a place of discipline and diligence. And I've always been a very productive person. But ever since a few months ago, when my company was accepted into Clay Clark's Thrive Time show, Entrepreneurs on Fire, in their coaching program, I started learning about the diligence and discipline required to grow a business, which is great because that was one of the reasons I reached out to them. I wanted to expedite my sales cycle and really grow. I set some really big goals this year. My goal is to hit $500,000 and have 300 clients in the pipeline before December. And so, but one of the things I've been learning is the importance of feeding your mind, feeding your body, stewarding your finances, and basically doing that deep dive on a daily basis to dig deep, get up early, and stay up late in a productive way, working on the things that make the greatest impact. And I always associated diligence and that kind of behavior with a fear. I had this innate fear that I didn't even know I had, that I was going to be less of a mom, or maybe not a super attentive wife. And I would have to let things go like the house and all those things, which, yeah, you cannot do it all. But in the season that we are in as a family, and not even knowing that John was going to quit his job and start over somewhere else, wherever the Lord leads, and we trust the Lord on that. Um, but having this assignment this past year, multiple assignments that I have so much peace about, and how God has enlarged our territory. A Coney County Republican women president, a Coney County Republican men starting, never had desires to step into politics, especially right now. But my assignment that God gave me is very clear. The second thing would be coaching this track team. We have really missed club track since the pandemic hit. And a bunch of parents came together and we said, you know what, this is going to be a team effort, and I will lead the way on the technology side. I'll get the certifications, I'll do all the training. And the Lord just opened all the doors. It has just been so amazing. Chris White and Seneca High School, and that team there has been extremely supportive, and the school district as well. But anyway, so this is super exciting. Never ever been done before. Countywide track team for summer to run for the summer, and so that happened. And then my husband making the decision to step out of his job. And so I've just transitioned into a new office in Seneca. I was at Patrick Square for a year. All through my life, the Lord has constantly moved me in different places. And it's hard for my flesh because I know on the outward part that man looks at, it looks like I move a lot, and I don't stay still, and I don't stay anywhere permanently. But I've realized in the diligence that he's called me to that I really am an evangelist at heart, and I'm an evangelist for business. I'm an evangelist for God's best for your life and how to properly steward all those things. And so one of the things that the Lord's been teaching me are the three things that are not optional with um, growth, whether you want to grow spiritually, physically, financially, psychologically, emotionally. You have to do these three things. The first one is you have to have a daily schedule. And I never ever thought, John and I have talked for years. I think I've known him now 20 years. And we've been married. We're going to hit the big 15 this year, 15 years of marriage. Woohoo. But one thing I always said, I hate routines. I felt like I grew up in a very structured, rigid household with not a lot of flexibility, and felt very restrained a lot. And so I've always just been like, ooh, I don't want a routine. I don't want to do the same thing every day. But one of the things I've learned in this new system that Clay has taught me is the importance of a daily schedule. And it can be as simple as, what is my one goal today? What's a grand slam goal for me today? And then mapping that out over the week and making sure I stay committed to my podcast content, sharing the gospel, reading the word, time at Jesus's feet, because that's what makes me a great wife and a great mom and a great business owner. So that first thing is a daily schedule. So I've got that down pat. I'm about 60 days in, and I carve out about an hour a day. And sometimes it's 30 minutes in the morning and 30 minutes before I go home, um, to work on that, and to focus on that. The second thing that is not optional are feeding your spirit. And so when you are working towards growth, you need to be feeding your mind with the right things. And we are not, unfortunately, living in a culture and atmosphere right now that are naturally feeding positive, good news to our spirit. And so I have developed discipline to read and listen to podcasts. And I cannot tell you how beneficial it has been, because I've never really enjoyed those things. I really only like to read my Bible. I just love the gospel. I love to be in the Word, but I don't like to read books. But I took on the E Myth for business entrepreneurs. I read Clay Clark's Boom book. And I literally now, it has become part of a natural rhythm of my life as a mom, wife, and a business owner, and someone called to share the gospel, because I see now how important developing that mindset is. And this is why scripture is so clear about renewing our mindset, renewing our spirit, renew my heart, create in me a clean heart, Lord, renew a right spirit within me. That's what the gospel says. And so, in the same fashion, it only makes logical sense that we would renew our spirit as well and our mind for the things that God has called us to, that are not necessarily in the gospel, like a business growth. And so that has made a huge impact. So that's the second thing. The third thing that is not optional is you have to have accountability. You've got to have someone in your life that's going to hold your feet to the fire. It was a game changer for me when I reached out to Myra Ketterman years ago. I started coaching with her and I just wanted to hit six figures. That was my goal. It took me 3 years to do it. But that was my small goal then, and she helped me reach that, and she taught me so much, and I still apply all of the things that she taught me in the system I've been using, in addition to the new system that I'm learning. And so those are the three things that are just not optional. But I want to just share with you guys that if you have deep down, like have this fear that diligence is synonymous with being consumed or obsessed, or that is not the case. Diligence is stewardship. When you have a high calling on your life, then your calling needs to be in alignment with your responsibilities and what you're doing and what you're carrying forth. And it's really between you and those that you're accountable to, which is your spouse, your children, your God, your spouse, your children. And then if you don't have a spouse, then that's between the people that make you accountable in your life and the Lord. And if you don't have those, you definitely need to have a system for accountability. And the one thing that has helped me that is not, I would say you really need it to grow, but it is more optional, outside of those three things, are a network of people that lift you up, meaning that you're striving to become a better version of yourself. And that is so important that you're around people that you want to be like and not people that will drag you down. I had a spiritual mom tell me one time all the time, she's like, Keri, gravity is always stronger. And so the Lord has just been really purifying my circle for several years now. And I'm reaching for big time wealthy CEOs. I want to be profitable, and that is not sinful. I have a very generous spirit, and I'm also learning to turn that over to the Lord and operate with more wisdom in how we give and what we give to, because overgiving and spending all of your money can also be just as sinful. So, um, but anyway, this has been part of my journey learning, and was just receiving that I'm God's daughter and He adores me, and there's nothing I can do to earn it or forfeit it. But He has put a call on my life to stand in the gap as a Republican woman. And really, it's a kingdom woman. Whatever God calls me to, I'm going to stand up for the kingdom and for the gospel. Right now, He does that through Oconee County Republican women. I don't know what the next steps are for me in terms of that realm or what the Lord is going to do, but I'm super thankful. I've been able to develop some amazing relationships statewide. One of those is with Kizzy Gibson, who is running for superintendent of education. She is anointed. She's a PhD. She's been in the classroom for 30 years. She has children. I think they're 14 and 16. And just really been able to encourage her in her race, her spiritual race, but I guess that's her race as well. And so relationships like that, that you just never thought that God could move through something like politics. Because really, Western Christianity and the church have really said, oh, no, you got to separate those things. But God cares about government and diligence in understanding the impact and responsibility that we have as believers to influence and impact our local government is really important as well. And so that was not part of what I was going to say about the three things for diligence that are not optional, but I really hope that you guys will get involved. There are a lot of big primaries happening June 14th. So research your candidates, know who is backing them, and that lines up with the nature of God, how you decide to vote. But anyway, I just wanted to share that with you. I'm trying to be diligent in keeping my podcast schedule. We release a podcast every Tuesday, so please click and subscribe to Keri on our YouTube channel and also on Spotify, and reach out privately if you need prayer. You can reach me at 864-933-6733. I would love to pray for you, love to help you in your business if you need business advice. Whatever it may be, don't ignore it if you have that feeling that you need to reach out. I've had some really amazing connections and conversations this week. So stay tuned, and remember, no matter what life throws at you, there are people who love you, and you can carry on no matter what. Have an awesome day.